Okay, why isn't my stuff working? Okay, there you go. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Fuck. So. Oh, wait. Okay. So you guys should be able to see this. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see this. How much of a delay is this shit? Okay. Alright. Okay, so President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection. I don't even think I need the headphones, right? I don't need the headphones because I'm not listening to anything yet. Let's go ahead. This is the first time checking the release. I don't know if you guys can hear me now, but I'm horrible at this. I don't know how to live stream. Okay, so I'm about to click the release files, and we'll see what it shows. They said 80,000 pages. And I know there's already been other releases throughout the years giving us like bits and pieces of information. But it looks like they dropped all of this today. So we'll start from the bottom. Work our way up. No, start from the top. Start from the top. Oh, what the fuck? Secret. Okay, murder. The Kennedy murder and the Secret Services of the USA. CT, March 26, 1964. The attached article may be of interest to you. Appeared in the 7th March issue of the Italian Communist Party Weekly Rinascita. The writer had been an on-off U.S. correspondent for the Italian Communist Press. Note that in the section... Note that in the section pencil in red, rumors are referred, which suggests that it was the agency to organize the murder of President Kennedy. Clipping, not... This is what's gonna suck. This is gonna suck because... Can't even read this shit. Page 2. There's no way all the records are here. Like, what? Oh, shoot. 1,123 entries. Okay. See, the government's doing this on purpose. They're going to shove everything at us and expect the American people to go through these and find out what happened. They can't give us a quick, like, who did it? I'm pretty sure that somebody has to. Somebody has to break this down. And, gosh, please tell me I'm not the one to do this. Discussion between... And a lot of these people can't even fucking write. Memo of the record at 9 o'clock this morning. I talked with Frank Freeberg recently. Returned COS Zelensky R.E. Warren Commission inquiry concerning the timetable of Oswald's stay in Finland in October 1957, including his contact with the Soviet consulate there. It takes 25 minutes to drive from the airport to downtown Helsinki. By taxi would take no more than 5 minutes to reach the Soviet consulate. So... Okay, so that's two. Dude, this is gonna be horrible. This is gonna be horrible. This shit's not gonna. Same thing. Same thing. Okay, same thing. If I see something, if I read something that's of relevance or important, which everything is, but something that's gonna really stick out, I'll speak it. I don't want to be reading everything out loud. I have an idea. Um, let's go to the end. Okay. Agency Army. Multiple Cuban Missile Crisis situation in Latin America. President report Soviet offensive weapons in Cuba. Cuban subversion. Soviet military in Cuba. JFK review declassified. Statement. Secretary of Defense testimony before House Committee. Secretary of Defense. So these are the dates they interviewed all these different people in regards to the assassination, I'm assuming. Secret. Okay, this is what we need to read. Secrets. Uh, the public pronouncements of Cuban leaders, the daily record of events in Latin America, and a report from the communists and other left extremist elements throughout this hemisphere all agree on once. So it's talking about Fidel Castro overthrowing or seizing control of the governments in Latin America, even for the October missile crisis. And oh man, my battery's about to die already. He said, "Come to Cuba. We will pay your way. We will train you in underground organization techniques, in guerrilla warfare, in sabotage, and in terrorism. We will see it to that you get back to your homeland. Once you are there, we will keep in touch with you, give you propaganda support, send you propaganda material for the movement, training aids to expand your guerrilla forces." So this has to do with JFK. Um, I went to the museum and I learned as much as I could there, but there was just so many pieces missing in regards to his actual assassination attempt. I feel like it had to do with a lot of things because from what I heard throughout the years is JFK's interest in not just dealing with the country, but trying to find out and unleash secrets within the government is what contributed to his death, his murder. He was asking too many questions. And now, because it's been years later, they're willing to give this to the American people. There's something in here that's going to say something about the CIA or somebody within the government that betrayed the president. And that's probably why, I don't want to keep making assumptions, but that's probably why they withheld it from the American people. Did my shit freeze? Oh no, what is this? So annoying. Okay, so a highly placed Guatemalan communist who defected last November, has given us a specific account of procedures by which Cuba sent cash to Mexico to buy weapons, which were then smuggled into Guatemala. We also have considerable evidence of involved bank transfers by which Cuban money eventually reached Latin American front groups to pay for political and propaganda activity. My God, you know what? This may be a whole can of worms that it's not gonna just spill all over the United States. This could be something that's spilling all over the damn world. That could be with a lot of other countries and oh man. I wonder if I can do a. Can I do a fucking search? Find assassination. Okay. The violence in Venezuela should not be minimized. Sabotage is the work of experts. It was being done with advanced types of explosives. The shooting has reached the point in Caracas where it is not safe to go out at night in subsection of the capital, but it is the opinion both of our people in the embassy that this level of activity is not the sort of thing that will bring down the government unless the president or other high officials are assassinated. We believe that Cuba has given guerrilla training to more nationals from Venezuela than from any other country. Our estimate is that more than 200 Venezuelans received such training in 1962. Many of these are engaged in terrorism in the sittings, and others were rounded up and given long prison sentences when they committed themselves prematurely last spring in a countryside where the rural population strongly supports the Betancourt administration. The Cuban plan. Okay, so how do I search? Control F. Okay, so Control F. John. So I have an idea. I'm gonna find it a lot faster if I put John. Okay. So I don't give a shit how long this takes. I'm gonna find it. So I need to use keywords. I can't even spell assassination. Assassination. Go ahead and copy that. It's probably gonna be those two. Okay, but this is talking about other stuff. It's talking about a lot about Cuba. The records of action of the Executive Committee of the National Security Council and the protocol. See what I mean? This is prepared. Let me see if it takes these keywords. So let me type in secret. Let me see if it pops up. Okay, cool. So it will still detect them. Okay, good to know. Paste assassination. Nope. I wish they freaking labeled these damn things though. Okay, so JFK assassination. Okay, November 22nd, 1963. November 22nd, 1963. So, no, 1963. So we need to go back. We're too far ahead. This is after the fact during further investigations, probably, of what was found. So let's go by dates. So 1970s. Where we at? 1963. So November 22nd. Well, this is November Telegram information report. CIA. Secret. Okay. Okay. Country Uruguay. Euro. I don't even know how to say that damn thing. Cuban precautions following assassination of President Kennedy. Precautions. Third Secretary. Field comment. The news of President was received in at approximately 1600 hours. So an hour and 10 minutes after the fact, the Cuban embassy they received reports that a mob was planning to stone the embassy. So if the police furnished extra protection for both the Cuban embassy and the Soviet legation, although the latter. So this definitely has to do something with Cuba. This is February, so this is funding. No. No. I feel like so we're still a month later. 1963. Wait, we're a year. No, I'm sorry. We're November. November 1963. November 1963. I don't know. I can't remember. So this was, what, a couple months after? I'm assuming they found out, right? I want to look at the initial report. The initial report and then forward, because there's no way it's going to be fucking beginning like I think it would. See what I mean? November. So if he got assassinated November 22nd, 1963, and this is reports a year before his assassination, there was a lot of stuff leading up to it. There's so many things leading up to it. Fuck. So if we're still... I want to go to page 20. Let's go to 20 and see what we find here. November 2nd, 1963. 1973. Frick. Man, our government fucked us up because they're not even going to organize this. They're just going to... They knew Trump was going to expose all of this stuff to the American people. They should have had all this organized for the American people. Like, they expect us to read 18,000 pages of it. That is ridiculous. I bet they didn't even read this. They were like, you know what? There's just too much information, too much corruption back then. Let's just give them the files and have them look it up. And then once people actually read it and figure it out, then we can start reporting news. Like, some reporters were even asking Trump, like, do we get a summary of the 18,000? No. He cut them off quick and was like, nope, you guys can research it yourself. So basically, journalists, the American people, we have to take it upon ourselves to look through these to figure out what happened for JFK. And you know what's going to happen when they release the MLK files? The same thing. They're going to release all these pages, and it's up to the American people to figure out what actually happened. And it's sooner or later we're going to find out, because there's going to be people that are going to really dig into this and probably use AI, an AI generator. That actually be a good idea, to just do a summary of what happened. But then again, summaries aren't really the same. But you see a lot of these, the CIA has a lot to do with Cuba. I'm seeing a lot of Cuba. Seeing like these people's names. I don't even know who the frick these people are. Okay, let's see who the hell this guy is, because they're mentioning his name a lot. Yuri, he's a military officer, died in 2008. Was a putative KGB officer who allegedly defected to the United States in 1964. Whether he was a genuine defector or a plant. As a result, he was contained by the CIA for 3 years. He was deemed as a true defector. What does that mean, defector? After his release, he became an American citizen and worked as a consultant and a lecturer for the CIA. So, defection, here it is. Okay, the following is taken verbatim from a declassified CIA defection. An officer in Switzerland on February 4th. This was a few months after. The responsibility for his exploitation was assigned to then Soviet Russia Division. How is this linked? How is this linked? Okay. So in late January, 2 months after the by a former Marine who had lived in the USSR. Wait, what? 2 months by a former Marine who lived in 2.5 years. Once again, accompanied the delegation to Geneva and reestablished conflict. Wait, what? He shocked them by claiming that he had been the case officer for this accused assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald. During Oswald's time in the Soviet Union, a few days later, he nervously informed them that he had received a telegram from Moscow ordering his immediate return. He interpreted this as a sign that the Kremlin had discovered his espionage for the CIA. Believing his life to be in danger, he expressed his urgent desire to defect to the United States immediately, despite knowing it would mean leaving his wife and daughters behind in Moscow. Wait a minute. Why does it say this? In late January, 2 months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy by a former Marine who lived in this. Maybe they already updated this. Maybe it tells us in here. Are they going to do that for us? Dude, come on. Assassination. Was assassinated in Dallas, 12:30 p.m. on November 22nd. He was Texas. He was in Texas. Okay. Between liberals, friction. Okay. Traveling to the presidential market through. He was shot once in the back. The bullet exiting via his throat and once in his head. Uh, Kenny was taken to the hospital. He was pronounced dead 30 minutes later. Lee Harvey was arrested for the murder of police officer J.D. Tippit and was charged with his murder, Kennedy's murder. He denied shooting anyone, claiming he was a patsy, and was shot dead by Jack Ruby on November 24th before he could be prosecuted. He was gonna talk. Ruby was arrested and convicted of the murder of Oswald. Ruby successfully appealed. I remember that. Okay, now I'm getting some memory back from what happened. So Ruby successfully appealed his conviction but died of cancer. President Johnson quickly executive order. Okay. So the U.S. House Committee on Assassination concluded that 1/3 of the committee said that Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. Oh no. It's not going to say anything about him on here. So, um, who the hell are all these people? Alias? This is exactly why our government needs to be transparent with the American people, because how can the American people make a valid decision on who to elect for government, who we believe should be taken out of the government if there's corruption or people that are trying to throw stuff underneath the rug or underneath the table so they don't go to prison? Or, I mean, this is wild. Who the fuck is texting me right now? Assassination. Assassination. Boosh, 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 boosh. None of this says anything about live address, post, return to CIA. Okay, on May 19th, the live address established for Gladys. I'm glad I could highlight this shit. Copy, paste. Who the fuck? Who is this? Gladys. Military Gladys. I can't even read any of this shit. This isn't gonna work, government. We need people to start protesting this shit because this is bullshit. We're not gonna be able to. and they wanted to redact stuff. Like, it's already redacted. You can't even see the shit. March, years later. I've been seeing a lot of the Cuba, Venezuela, something with Cuba. See what I mean? This is so stupid. Fair play for Cuba committee. See what I mean? Like, oh, I could read it like this. Sure. Actually, you know what I could do? Holy moly. Can I subject? So copy. Let's get a Word document open. Okay, at the request of Mr. Dave Phillips, propaganda spent evening of Slan Mary 6 with core student base recently returned from 3 weeks Cuba under the sponsorship of the Fair Play from Cuba Committee. Court and his father have both voiced very strong pro-Castro sentiments and are extremely critical of the foreign. Mr. Phillips, to continue my relationship with Mr. Wood, and I will keep the office informed of the visit. This is not good information. Okay, who the hell is this? So, Dave Phillips, not now. Stay away. Okay. I have to click on random ones because there's just too fucking many, and a lot of these are dated. Even no matter where it's at, they're not even in order. Like, this is already 1967. After the fact, there's more information that was put out. Well, I mean, it makes sense, but why? Is the question. Why? The following employees of Iran and Root were approved for contact to ties on the dates indicated. Approved for contact use on the dates indicated. Brown Foundation. There is no 06 subject file on the Brown Foundation. Okay, what the hell is the Brown Foundation? Houston, Inc. Interesting. After building Brown and Root into a successful enterprise, Herman and Margaret Root Brown and George whatever founded the Brown. Okay, in 1951. The Brown brothers were builders, and they used philanthropy to build stronger educational, cultural, and civic institutions in Houston and beyond. Over its nearly 75-year history, the Brown Foundation has distributed more than $2 billion in grants across the state of Texas. Today, the trustees of the Brown Foundation are entrusted with the responsibility of carrying forward the philanthropic legacy of the founders. To create opportunity by supporting education, to uplift the spirit through the arts, to strengthen communities, to enrich through shared civic assets. Why is this relevant to the assassination? Fuck. Why is the Root and Brown? Vision. Fuck. This is gonna suck. this is gonna have something to do with communism, and I've been seeing communism, and Cuba a lot in the world. This isn't a good enough way to decipher what actually happened. This is not gonna help. See, this is gonna suck because this is gonna suck. First page.
Uber Eats is delivering more deals, so you can get more food to watch more basketball. Right now, get a buy one, get one Whopper from Burger King.
You're an investigative journalist, Gerald Posner, who is an expert on the JFK assassination. His book, Case Closed, Lee Harvey Oswald and the Assassination of JFK, is a New York Times bestseller and considered a classic on the topic. Gerald, great to have you back on the show. The way they release these documents is hugely frustrating. They basically just say, here's 50,000 documents, go at it. They don't give you any sort of guide as to what's new.
No, it should be a master class in how not to do a document release.
Right.
I mean, I'm going through the files. I'm trying to compare them to others. They just dump the files out. And then what happens is you look at the file. You don't know if it's been released before with just a word or two or a page redacted. Then you have to go back and look at the earlier files a year earlier and compare them. This is something they should have corrected years ago. They haven't. So we're getting them. I'm not complaining about that. 50,000 out tonight. I'm not sure if we're going to get the tax files of Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby. There's still some doubt about that. Or the grand jury proceedings of Jim Garrison, the district attorney that Oliver Stone had in his movie JFK. So I'll believe it all when I see all 88,000 pages after tomorrow.
President Trump long promised to make these files public. He said, quote, it's been 60 years. It's time for the American people to know the truth. What's the truth he thinks the American people need to know?
Well, I don't know what Donald Trump thinks. I know a lot of his supporters are suspicious about the deep state. They think the CIA was somehow involved. I don't think they're going to get much satisfaction from the eventual release of these files. They're not going to find a smoking gun in here that says, by the way, the agency killed JFK, because I don't think that happened, and that file just doesn't exist. But I do think there's plenty to find out, including whether the CIA knew more about Oswald than they indicated, and they should have told the FBI to have prevented this assassination. That's the question that many historians...
What does this sound like, guys? What is it? What he just said? What does it sound like? Who's a recent president that had assassination attempt on him? This is why a lot of the supporters for Donald Trump are believing that it's the deep state, CIA, FBI, agents within our government coordinating an attack on our own president. My camera is about to die. I need to swap the battery. Oh my God. Okay, and it's downstairs. I'll be back. Hold on. Damn. Okay, sorry guys. Fuck. Okay, I gotta swap the battery out. Hold on. Okay guys, I should still be live. I should still be live. I just bought a new camera and the battery only lasts an hour, which sucks. So I had to buy these new batteries, or more batteries. So let's play back what he just said, because this is crazy right here.
Many historians are looking at. They knew more about Oswald than they indicated, and they should have told the FBI to have prevented this assassination. That's the question that many historians are looking at.
So many historians are looking at is they believe, and it's also a conspiracy in a sense because they don't really know for a fact either, that the agency knew about an assassination attempt coming. Now, that sounds very familiar with President Trump's case in Pennsylvania with this kid that happened to climb a ladder to get on the roof with a gun. And you're telling me the top-notch Secret Service for the United States of America did not detect this guy, this kid? And he was a young kid. You're telling me this kid defeated the Secret Service and almost achieved his objective in assassinating our president? Why the hell we're not doing a deep investigation in the CIA and FBI? I mean, okay, how are you going to do that? Even as a president, even as Trump being the president, how are you going to investigate this agency if it's too far gone or if it's too corrupt? This is why it's very sketched out. And maybe releasing these files was probably not a good idea, maybe. I don't know. But I think the American people should still know.
We have prevented the JFK assassination if the agencies, the FBI and the CIA, shared information.
Yeah, that's long been the speculation that there have been all these redactions or files withheld because it was potentially embarrassing to the CIA. Not that the CIA knew this was going to happen and didn't do anything, but more that the CIA had Lee Harvey Oswald under surveillance. Oswald went to Mexico City where he met with Russian agents, and there might have been some sort of knowledge of something he said that could or should have raised alarms, and that the CIA should have then informed the FBI, correct?
Right. And Elizabeth, as a matter of fact, we now know because the Russians, the KGB, have released their files and information years ago that Oswald, when he visited the Soviet consulate, took his pistol out, 38 caliber, slammed it on the desk. The KGB agents in front of him sort of took the gun out, they emptied the bullets, and they escorted him out of the embassy. Did the CIA know that? Did they have a bug inside the Soviet embassy? Did they have human assets, somebody they've turned as an agent? If they knew that, and then Oswald comes back into the United States just 6 weeks before Kennedy is murdered, it was on the CIA to tell the FBI. They didn't do that.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching.
So that's what the speculation is that the CIA knew of something was probably going to happen with JFK, and they didn't act on it. They didn't do anything. And then the day comes and he gets assassinated, and now they spent years trying to keep it from the American public because they knew if the American public found out the moment or right after the assassination the truth of what happened, everybody in the country would go crazy and go against our government. That probably would have been the end of our government if they would have found out the truth instantly. But because it's been so far long and we're in a total different genre and so many people that are in our government weren't in the government back when Kennedy was president. So now they feel like it's a sufficient enough time to release these files. But again, that still doesn't answer the question on exactly what happened to JFK. And we don't even know what the hell happened with President Trump's assassination attempt. Like, we only know so little of this damn kid that apparently didn't have a digital print on the internet, which to me sounds impossible. Everybody has social media in some form of way. And I don't know, there's just too many questions. There's way too many more questions. And I feel like releasing the files added even more questions that are probably going to get unanswered. Gosh, the American people need to speak out on a transparency, something with transparency with our government, where when something happens, it needs to be released right away. At least within 24 hours. As soon as some information is found that's critical, it should be released to the American public. I mean, if we're the ones that are supposed to be electing our officials, we should be electing people that are being transparent with us. And if that's one of the things that Trump ran on, I mean, he released some files, but we got to know the whole story about everything. We got to know the whole story. JFK, MLK, UFOs. I mean, everything. It's hard because now you're getting all these reporters and they're fishing around for people that have written books on JFK and MLK, and they're interviewing them and saying, hey, you have done the most research on these assassination attempts. What are you finding in your discovery with this new release of 80,000 pages? Can you tell us so we can relay it to the country and the world? Because I'm telling you right now, 80,000 pages, especially pages that are really hard to read. I mean, this is going to be tough. I mean, look at this shit. Luckily, because of technology, I can copy this and put it in Word and paste it, and I can read, but just the gist of it. And I don't even know what a lot of this crap means. Okay, it was granted covert security approval for the use of Project IFCON. Does that really say that? Okay, bro. Venice D. Okay, so it's right here where I copied it. So project, sorry, I'm trying to look for project. It said it in the same sentence. Oh, here, project LP coin. LC project. Fuck. Let me see what this says. Copy. IFCON. LP. It looks like it says LP coin. Project LP coin. See what I mean? It's not gonna work. I could just put JFK files and then see what people are saying about it, but it doesn't look like we're gonna get some information until.
So, all right. The baby woke us up, a couple times, but look, I don't feel.
Administration promised to release 80,000 pages today of documents related to President John F. Kennedy.
ClickUp is an all-in-one project management tool that can literally do anything, and I mean anything.
Administration promised to release 80,000 pages today of documents related to President John F. Kennedy's assassination. At this hour, we are all still waiting. Now, while we wait, let's bring Dory Wiley in. It's a really interesting voice, I think, on all of this. Dory's the CEO of Commerce Street Holdings, someone we might ordinarily talk about the stock market with. Maybe we just showed you those numbers, but this is a guy who's made himself an expert on the Kennedy assassination. And joins us now to talk about that instead of, business or the market. So welcome, first of all. It's like I have kind of knowledge that I would describe as useless in my day-to-day life. Like I know a lot about 1980s baseball, which doesn't get me very far. But you made yourself an expert on this. Why? Why'd you get, before we talk about what we should be looking for today, what got you so interested?
Well, I don't recommend it, first of all. It's a black hole, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I got interested when Geraldo first put up the Zapruder film in 1975. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's sort of, watching a train wreck or something. But I grew offended, right? Who shoots our president? Who shoots our president in broad daylight, assassination style like that? And from that moment on, I was hooked. And I was 10 years old. And so I've been studying it ever since. And I started giving lectures and holding free conferences to our clients and things like that about 25 years ago.
Interesting. So for someone like you, I wonder what you're looking forward to. Let me go to our tablet here. We have a timeline of these files, of the JFK files, 2 years after the aforementioned Geraldo event with the Zapruder film you mentioned, 77. The House Select Committee begins on assassinations, begins the investigation. Then we fast forward to Bush 41 with the Assassination Records Collection Act, and then all the way into the end of the Clinton administration, where they finish the work and submit the final report. And then Trump 1.0 says he's going to allow the release of the records, but he ended up.
President Trump says he would allow release of remaining records, but ended holding some back due to national security. President Biden allowed a limited release of documents. President Trump orders release of all records. So something in 2017, something has been going on in our country that has held back our government from releasing these files to the American people. And I remember Trump saying this in one of his interviews. He said that there's some people that are still alive today that by releasing these files, they would be in danger because their names would be exposed. 2017, 2015, and it took all these years to release them. He would had to have asked every single body that was in these files if they could be released in order for them to release it, if it meant putting people's lives at stake.
Ended up holding some back, right, because of national security. Biden said allowed some out, and then where we are today is right in here, 2025, full release, we think, at some point. So for someone like you, is this a big deal? Do you think it'll be anticlimactic? What do you say?
Well, it is. Let's go back to your timeline of 2000. Sure. We got two answers from Trump about that. One, he was on Tucker's show and he said, hey, good people, Mike Pompeo and other people, they told me I shouldn't release. We need to protect the people and methods and procedures and national security, blah, blah, blah. And they sold him, right? So that was his answer. But he gave a far different answer to Judge Napolitano, who's on record for saying he talked to him about it right before the end of his term and said, hey, you promised you're going to release those files, and you didn't. And Trump told him, this is the quote from the judge, he said, if you saw what I saw, you wouldn't have released them either. So what does that mean? Because Trump has thought there was a conspiracy theory of all along. What does that mean? So what that means is there actually might be a smoking gun, and us researchers are not getting our hopes up, right. But there actually might be a smoking gun, and that smoking gun means probably, this is conjecture, probably something like Operation Zipper really did happen. And Operation Zipper is this memo that was written a number of years ago, handwritten memo by the former head of clandestine operations for the CIA, Robert Crowley, that talks about the coordination between the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the CIA, the FBI, and the mafia to take out the president. We have not been able to verify that memo,
right?
But the theory that those all came together to kill the president is really generally accepted amongst most top researchers today.
So that's what you're looking for. It's interesting because I talked to some other folk. We have somebody coming on a little bit later said, don't get your hopes up. But you seem like you have your hopes up. So we'll see when they release it. Terrific stuff. Interesting that you're so interested. Everything except your...
You came down Main Street, made this little short turn, then turned into the Dealey Plaza road that went down and under the...
So if you go to the museum, because they have the building as a museum now, which is kind of weird actually, they let you go on this floor right here so you can actually see the view of where he got shot at. But I believe this is the actual window that they shot out of, or Lee Harvey Oswald shot out of. And they still have it contained with boxes and stuff.
It went under the railroad track. But Oswald was in the 6th floor, right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, he was in this floor. I think they gave us access to this one or this top floor. I think it was this one then. Yeah, so if that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I think we went to the 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He was on the 6th floor. And these other 3 guys that were looking out these windows were the ones that heard the shots.
See, this is what I'm saying. So,
Windows were the ones that heard.
I was standing right here. If you stand right here and look this direction across the street, there's a wall that's still there today. And my theory is that there was 2 shooters, one out of the building and one behind the wall, just because of the direction of where he got hit. Because he got hit twice. It's just
shots.
Somebody was on the ground. Somebody had to have been on the ground.
This happened on the morning of Friday.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he was actually a ballistic. Okay.
That night, Cunningham, Killian, and myself went over to the Secret Service garage, and there was the limousine that they'd used. They'd flown it back and put it in the garage. And of course we had a photographer from the field office there. They had their photographer there, and we examined that car very thoroughly that same night. And I hate to think about it, but Jackie Kennedy had a yellow rose bouquet. Mrs. Conley, who was sitting on a jump seat in front of her, had a red rose bouquet, and those red rose petals were all over the car. Blood everywhere. Excuse me. But we examined it. We found some lead particles in the scraping of lead from the inside the windshield. That took Saturday and Saturday night. And we got home sometime on Sunday. I don't remember when it was. We never got home Friday night or Saturday, but we got home sometime Sunday for about 5 hours sleep. And then we had to, my wife wanted to see the parade, this funeral procession. Monday, that was on Monday. Already, all the autopsy had been finished. But she wanted to see that, so we went down there Monday and saw the parade. And I went to work, and I didn't get home till Wednesday. Damn. We reenacted the entire thing very, very carefully, scrupulously. We took Zapruder's camera.
What sucks?
Because he was photographing the car.
And that's what sucks. The technology they had during that time, I mean, I felt wasn't sufficient enough to clearly identify everything that was going on.
And for certain distances, we wanted to know how fast the car was going. Well, we had nobody to ask. You had to figure it out. So Lyndall Schoenfeld took a clock that had a second hand in and photographed it with Zapruder's camera. And just like that, he knew exactly how many frames were exposed during a 10-second interval.
Wow.
We put that car, according to 3 people who were running movie cameras at the time, from
See
Zapruder,
the wall?
from head on.
That's the wall I was telling you guys about.
Movie camera.
This wall right here. I think it's this wall. Yeah, there's like a little section, like a little place, like a little overhang right here, but there's like a wall. I felt like somebody would be behind there too. Everybody's so distracted with the president coming through that would be a vantage point, especially where the direction of travel of the bullet came. I mean,
at the time, from Zapruder, from head on, a lady from the left side, and so forth. You could triangulate and put the car in the middle of the street or a little bit to one side. You could put the front end of that car exactly where it was at any time, and with reference to when the shots were fired. And so that's what we did. I stood up there. We took Oswald's rifle with the scope on it to Texas and set it up. And there has been a conspiracy theories and people shooting from here and from there and from everywhere else. There has never been anything to indicate positively that anybody else was involved.
So, okay, this guy had some experience under his belt. He testified about his findings, proud of the part, and his colleagues in the FBI laboratory played a significant
Yeah,
role.
it was the biggest thing that ever happened at any time in my career.
Shit.
This St. Patrick's Day luck is on your side. Get up to 33% off site-wide during Lorex's St.
For more insight, I'd like to bring in presidential historian James Robinall. He's also a lawyer and author of...
The same guy?
We are still waiting for the release of tens of thousands of investigative documents from the...
Bro, they already
released it. Administration.
Well, let's go straight to that breaking news now. And the JFK assassination files have been released by the Trump administration, and they've revealed some surprising Australian connections.
Yes, 7 News.
Well, let's go straight to that breaking news now. And the JFK assassination files have been released by the Trump administration, and they've revealed some surprising Australian connections.
Yes, 7 News chief reporter Chris Reason joins us here on the set with more. Good morning, Rezo. This is fascinating stuff. Tell us more. I know it's only just happening now.
Intriguing, and it has just happened now. They've just started releasing these documents. Bit of backstory here, as you know, 6 million documents connected to the assassination back in 1963 on November 22. There's the footage of JFK in Dallas. They've been releasing slowly for years these documents, and there's been one last batch, one last tranche of 80,000 documents. Donald Trump pledged that he would release those. That release has begun today. It began about almost an hour ago. And in the first several documents released, an Australian connection has been revealed. And guys, it is quite fascinating. I've got a copy of some of those documents here with me now. It's a series of communications between the head of ASIO, a guy called Sir Charles Spry, and the director of the CIA, begging the CIA not to release certain documents.
So the Australians begging the Americans?
The Americans not to release some documents.
Right.
And this is intriguing. There's been all sorts of connections made between JFK and Australia, but we've never seen it this clearly, and we're still digging through the documents to find out what. But here's one of the most important and critical parts of that communication. To the Director of Central Intelligence from this Charles Spry, the head of the ASIO, saying our investigations of anonymous telephone calls to the Canberra Embassy before and after the assassination of President Kennedy. Now, this is ASIO asking for the information about those calls to be kept secret by the CIA, not to be made public. And it came just as they were building up to the all-important Warren Commission in 1963, the big investigation. Right. And they were worried the Warren Commission was about to release this sensitive information that was recorded in the Canberra Embassy, something to do with JFK's assassination. On the phone calls before the assassination and after the assassination. Raises more questions than I can give you answers here today, but we're still going through those files and those released documents now to see if we can find out what exactly was the content of that phone call and those phone calls made to the Canberra Embassy.
Hard to know here, Rezo, but do we think that the contents of those calls could be contained within the 80,000 files that are being released?
We don't know. I know the name of the file. I'm searching for it now, CD971. If we can find that, that will tell us. The file was sealed when it was in those communications back and forth. It'll be fascinating to see what it says. It was an Australian communication. And the fact that it was before the assassination and after Is this indication of knowledge? I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but
the significance yet to be determined. Okay.
Thank you, Rezo.
This is getting more crazier because after going through a lot of the different documents on the government website, I kept seeing a lot of stuff about Cuba in regards to the assassination attempt. And then now they're saying in the first couple of pages of the documents that just got released, Australian connection. What if this is a lot bigger than the United States? This is starting to be worldwide. Like almost a lot of people in different countries had a part in the assassination attempt or the assassination of JFK. Like I said, maybe it wasn't a good idea to release these files because I don't think it's putting the CIA under fire. I think
Hi there, I'm Brad
people.
Meltzer, the author of the JFK Conspiracy. And the reason I love this story is it is the greatest mystery of modern time. So yesterday,
it shouldn't.
Donald Trump said he's going to release the final 1% of the documents that pertain to the JFK assassination. It's about 80,000 pages, which means everyone's standing by and waiting to get those pages. But 80,000 pages are not going to be read quickly. But I can tell you right now, I've spoken to someone in the National Archives. They are waiting in the main building. The records are in Archives 2 right now, which are out in Maryland. And everyone wants the same thing. We all want to read that final 1% of the documents that are there. My wish list for what's going to be in these files is the same as anyone else's, right? I want to know if anyone was working with Lee Harvey Oswald. I want to know if he was working alone or by himself. We all want to know that. We all want to see the smoking gun. The question will be, is it there? And I think it's going to be very hard, whatever it says in there, for any of us to believe it. That's what's just going to happen. The way America's structured today, no matter what comes out of these documents, half the country is going to say, see, they're lying to us. And the other half is going to say, I knew it all along. We're not going to believe whatever it is. And that's just the sad state of affairs that we're in right now.
That's actually the unfortunate truth right there.
When it comes to truth, we don't believe it anymore, even if it's right in front of our face.
Shit.
That's the key question. What has taken so long? And here's the answer, is back in 1992, they actually passed a law that said you have to release all the files unless there's something that's going to affect our national security. That's the unless. And so that's what's held it up. Both Trump and Biden, even though each of them could have released all the files, they didn't. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo last time said, I'm not going to do it. And my personal opinion why is what's in all of these files, and I mean any kind of military files, what you usually see held back it's not the smoking gun. It's intelligence gathering, it's military techniques, it's assets and CIs, meaning confidential informants. I can tell you for sure that years ago, the United States worked with a known terrorist who we all hated, everyone knows the name of, but he was actually secretly on our side for many years. Why? Because someone in his family was sick and he was trying to help them. And sometimes the United States wants to protect those asset relationships. We want to protect those people we're working with. So everyone's expecting this to be that smoking gun, and it may just be, here's that group, that confidential person, that confidential government that were secretly on our side the entire time. Some of those are clearly still worth protecting, and we're about to find out just how much they're worth protecting. If I was doing the find and search function on these documents, which are about to come out, here's what I would look for, is I would put in the words FBI, because the FBI just recently said that they found another 2,400 recently inventoried and digitized documents. What's in those 2,400? Now you're talking about like the 1% of the 1%. And those are the ones that no one knew about. That's what's most interesting to me right now. And if you want to know where to get them, just go to archives.gov/research/JFK. I don't expect anything groundbreaking. What I do expect is maybe finding out an answer, or finding out why we don't have an answer to why the CIA did not know, or did know, what in terms of what Lee Harvey Oswald was doing in Russia at the time. That's the key question. And that's the embarrassing quote unquote cover up that could potentially be out there, is that they just missed it, or they did know about it and they just didn't act on it. Either way, it's a huge embarrassment. Does it mean that the CIA was responsible, or this one was responsible, or was all the government that did it? No, that's not how it works. In fact, let me explain to you how it works. This is the problem with the JFK conspiracy and the JFK assassination. If you want to know who killed JFK, in the 1960s, we thought it was the Russians, it was the Cubans, it was our enemies at the height of the Cold War. In the 70s, at the height of Watergate, we thought it was our own government did it. We didn't trust the government anymore, so it was the CIA that did it. It was LBJ who did it. In the 80s, as the Godfather movies peaked, who killed JFK? It was the mafia, it was the mob. So if you want to know who killed JFK, it's decade by decade, whoever America's most afraid of at that moment in time. And that's what the JFK as a conspiracy, as an assassination, as whatever you want to call it, what his murder really shows us is a mirror to what we're really afraid of. Show me your favorite conspiracy, and I'll show you who you are.
See, this is why I was saying our government has to be transparent as soon as something happens. You could still redact the way we operate and do our intelligence, our tactics, our military, tactics. We could redact all that for the American people. The American people don't need to know that, should not know that, because it exposes tactics to fight enemies. That makes sense, but we should still know who did what and why they did it. So if there was more than one person that helped assassinate JFK, the American people have the right to know who and why. And it's kind of too little too late at this point in 2025 to release this information. And even when MLK comes out, that's going to have its own can of worms of why it's been released so late. If I find anything else, I'll post it and make another video. But this is a really long stream, and I don't know if anybody's watching. I don't even know if I'm even streaming right now because I'm new to this. But am I streaming? Okay, I should still be streaming. Yeah, so we'll see what else we find. I mean, I can't even read this shit. This is what's pissing me off. But what I've skimmed through here, seen, is that they decided to put it in 5 million files. They couldn't consolidate it. They can't help see, like this shit. Copy. This is what I've been doing. What? Copy. Paste. No, I can't even. Copy. Paste. See, it's not going to catch all the words. Can't even read it. Fuck. This is years after. There's just too much. There's too much, and we're not going to be able to. I don't know how the hell people are going to read this, even if you're really scoping this out. Some of these files only have, some of these only have 1-page files. I didn't see anything about Australia, but I did see a lot about Cuba. Kept seeing a lot about Cuba. Alright guys, well, if anybody watched this, I'm going to have to wait to see if anybody is actually going to read these, because there's way too many files. And a lot of these you can't even read anyway. I don't know which tactics they were talking about, but like some of these you can't even read. It's kind of pointless. This is why I say, we need to have everybody being transparent. Damn, it's windy outside. Everybody's It's crazy that they said Australia is somehow a part of the JFK files. Australia and Cuba. Actually, let me put Australia. Let me see what pops up real quick before.
Well, much of Joe Biden's presidency was a...
Number one.
No.
Well, they've just released.
Trump 13 minutes ago? What is this?
From hard hats to steel-toed boots, Grainger's got your safety needs covered. Literally. Shop Grainger's vast inventory of safety products. Call, click, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it.
The Trump administration says it's set to release all of the government's classified files in the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Trump says people have been waiting decades for this, and the 80,000 pages he says that he could release this afternoon. Kennedy was shot and killed on November 22nd, 1963. While riding in a motorcade in Dallas, his assassination has long been the subject of conspiracy theories after Lee Harvey Oswald, the suspect, was shot and killed days later. Joining us now, Jefferson Morley, author of JFK Facts and a former Washington Post reporter. What are the biggest unanswered questions that these unredacted files could actually answer?
To understand what's going to come out, you need to understand what's been released in recent years. And what we've learned in the last 20 years, all of it undermines the official story that one man killed the president for no reason. That theory is no longer tenable. It's not factually supported. The doctors in Dallas who tried to save Kennedy's life agreed he had been shot from two different directions. The CIA knew far, far more about Lee Harvey Oswald than they ever told any investigation. So those are the areas where I think, we can learn something, particularly about the CIA and Lee Harvey Oswald. That story was totally buried by the Warren Commission. It was not known to congressional investigators in the 1970s. It's really only been learned in the last couple of years. And so this is the area where there's potential for a real breakthrough if we see the documents. Of course, the documents were promised today and we still haven't seen them.
I mean, you've pored over these documents like no one else. Is there any evidence, though, that redactions in already released documents up to this point have covered up key details? Would things in an unredacted document change the popular narrative? And so how so?
In April of 2023, the CIA released a 62-year-old document which identified the name of the man who was reading Lee Harvey Oswald's mail while President Kennedy was in the Oval Office. So the surveillance of Oswald has been a very carefully controlled secret. The Warren Commission was told, and the Warren Commission told the world, the CIA didn't know anything about this man, and he just came and killed the president. That story, we now know, thanks to documents released in recent years, is false. A small group of top CIA officials monitored Lee Harvey Oswald from November 1959 to November 1963, and then, when asked questions about it after the president was dead, lied about it and said they didn't know anything about him. So we know that story is false now, and the documents to be released may well shed some light on.
That alone is why the American people throughout the years, even despite the different generations and what was happening, like they mentioned earlier in the clip, they're going to believe that the CIA was a part of the assassination of JFK. I mean, that's how I would be thinking as well. Like, okay, if you lied, there's something else going on that you didn't tell.
Why is the CIA lying about this?
Do you buy at all the national security argument here that this could be jeopardizing to, the integrity of the CIA or FBI if they release some of this information?
I mean, I have no doubt that this information will be highly embarrassing to the CIA. And people in the CIA believe that if you embarrass the CIA, that harms U.S. national security. I don't think most people outside of the CIA buy that argument. They agree that a secret intelligence agency should be held accountable, especially in the case of a presidential assassination. There's not 80,000 names of sensitive agents in those documents. There may be a handful of names, but, the classification, the national security justification for withholding information, that is so often abused that the law that is in effect now, the JFK Record Act, says that's no longer a valid objection. Okay. And the law says something that the CIA has never done. The law says in every document that the CIA withholds, they have to provide an explanation of the damage that it would do by releasing it. And they have to do that for every single document. The CIA has never done that. And so it's just kind of a blanket exemption that they can hide stuff.
But what if it's something global? Something that would affect not just the United States, but it would affect a lot of other countries on planet Earth. Like, what if it's that bad? If there's a lot of things I've been seeing about Cuba and Australia, for some reason, I don't know exactly what everything that was going on during that time and years leading up to his assassination attempt that has gotten to the point where somebody or groups of people or organizations or leaders or whoever actually orchestrated the entire thing to make sure he got assassinated, what was actually happening during all those years and during that time to them finally go through with the plan. And for it to be successful, unfortunately, you had to have a lot of people involved in it. Which brings me back to President Trump's assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. There had to have been a lot of key people into making that possible. You cannot sit here and tell me this fucking kid was able to get a ladder and a gun and walk up to a building, climb it, aim at the President of the United States of America, and take multiple shots until the agents took him out. Now, I kind of wish they didn't take him out. I kind of wish they kept him alive so we can question him and really find out the trail. But since then, the investigation didn't last long, and the case was, closed? Because I haven't heard anything else about that. Why? The American people should be asking, why? All right, I'm going to get off because a lot of this stuff is just crazy. Yeah, so I'm going to make a quick little video. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm going to make a quick little video and just recap everything I just saw. And then, yeah, I kind of want to play that video, though. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. Till next time. Peace out, everybody.